Howdy folks, it's Tom here from the gaming channel and welcome to a 3D printer video. Unfortunately, we will not be doing any actual 3D printing in this video. The reason for that is because instead I'm going to show you guys the first failure, or at least what I would constitute as a failure, from the A8 3D printer, as well as on a completely unrelated topic, the worst 3D printer failure I've ever seen. Anyway, these are the failures that I'm used to getting on 3D printers. These are what I refer to as the flying spaghetti monster 3D printer failures. This generally happens when, for whatever reason, the piece is broken loose, or something's knocked it over, or whatever, and the print head just keeps extruding filament, and it keeps getting caught and turns into this stringy mess. This, however, is not that. Those are the type of failures I'm used to. I got a lot of those on the M3D when it didn't just stop printing altogether. This, however, and I'm going to show you guys in a minute, I'm going to go to shaky cam and show you guys what I'm referring to as the blob of 3D printer failures. And I'm going to go through that with you guys and hopefully show you guys how I get that removed and get the printer back up and running. Or how I break the printer and have to replace parts on it. We'll see. Whichever one works. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to go to shaky cam and show you guys exactly what we're trying to deal with here. Alright, so here we go. This is the failure, if I can get the camera to focus. Come on, there you go. So yeah, this is the failure that I'm talking about. Why is it? Okay. Sorry, new camera. I'm still trying to figure out how to use it. It's focusing really badly. I'll zoom out a little bit. There we go. So as you guys can see, this is not the spaghetti monster stringing type of failure. As you guys can see, the entire print head, if I can zoom in the camera a little bit, come on, blurry cam, come on, come on, come on. How not to use a camera with Tom. Anyway, I'll zoom out a bit. So yeah, as you guys can see, the print head, the heater block, my fan shroud there. If I flip you guys around to this side, you guys can see the thermistor wires. All of it is essentially trapped in a solid block of PLA plastic, which is going to be, oh, so much fun to try to get free. Yeah, so I have to assume one of two things happened. During the printing process, somehow the filament got wrapped around the print head, and through the movement of the printer somehow got wrapped around it and built up this huge blob. However, the more likely scenario that I have seen is that the print head underneath probably got clogged, and as the printer was still trying to extrude filament, it essentially sprang a leak. I've seen some videos and pictures where filament will extrude out, because it's building up pressure, it's got to go somewhere. So it manages to work its way up and extrude out on top of the heater block, which I have to assume is what happened, because, you know, it looks to have expanded from here and maybe picked up a piece of whatever was printing, and that's what caused it to come off the bed entirely. So my first order of business is to try to take this fan off along with the blower. I'm hoping to salvage the blower. I doubt that I'm going to be able to, which is really unfortunate, because I want to show you guys, if you look here, you'll see there's a chip out of my fan. That happened very early on. one of the very first things I printed, which I may actually have the failed print in here still. Yep, I do. I try to keep all my failed prints, just in case. I tried to print this thing, which I've seen a lot of people use. Essentially, it's a replacement blower. It sits like this, and it blows air in a circle around the hot end. Really great concept. I thought it was awesome, and I've seen lots of people have this type of blower on their printers. Well, I printed it, I put it on, it seemed to work fairly well, and the first time I went to actually print something, this contacted the side of the build plate and twisted, and something had to give, so the casing on the fan, a little corner popped out. So I immediately scrapped this and went back to the original blower here. Unfortunately, because this part was cracked, it wouldn't stay in place. It kept falling out and knocking stuff over, and it caused more than one print to fail. So I got really irritated. It was late at night, I wasn't thinking, and I super glued it in place. It's now, for better or worse, a permanent part of this fan. So you see part of my problem here. So essentially what I need to do is I need to try to remove this. Hopefully I can get it out intact. If not, I'm hoping to use the Dremel tool to maybe cut the blower right here and salvage as much of it as I can, at least until I can get this free, remove this, maybe chisel out the inside, and get a new blower printed, because this is an actual printed part off the printer. After that, I'm going to remove this fan and the heatsink with it, remove all the wires out of the way, and hopefully be able to get in here with a wrench, the wrench that came with the printer. I might have to use a heat gun to help me, but there is one nut in here that holds this entire assembly to the carriage. With that done, hopefully I can remove this entire assembly and remove the carriage, put this back in place so that I can use the carriage to hold it in my bench vise, and use a combination of the heat gun and the Dremel tool to hopefully get this gigantic block of PLA removed. That's the plan. So hopefully it works. My biggest concern doing this is right in here is my throat tube that connects to the heater block and the hot end. My biggest concern is snapping that. I really would rather not do that. That would be bad. Not unfixable, but certainly irritating. The one good thing about this particular printer, being a kit that I assembled myself, is that I know how all of these parts go together. I also know that through the community, I can find replacements for all of these parts. And because I'm only looking, say for instance I have to replace this fan because I can't get this blower out, then I can just replace this fan. I can go online, I can ask people, you know, what fan is this? Where is the best place to get it? I can go online and buy it and probably spend $5, $6 to replace this fan. Whereas if it was a pre-built printer, then I would probably have to replace this and like a bunch of other parts as well, which would be far more expensive. So if I do wind up breaking the throat tube and the heater block and the hot end off, it's not the end of the world. I can replace them. Unfortunately, it just means that my printer's out of commission for longer than I would really like. So anyway, the first order of business is I need to get my filament out. I need to heat it up to PLA temperature so that I can pull this out, get it free, and then I can go to work on the rest of this. I am a little nervous about doing that because, like I've shown you guys, like you guys can see, this is a solid block of PLA. And I'm really concerned because a lot of people really don't understand that PLA actually burns fairly well. Like, it will burn on its own with a flame. So that's my primary concern, is this whole apparatus catching fire. But honestly, I don't foresee that being that big a deal, or that big a risk, because usually when you... I have seen recent posts where these things have caught fire. Usually that's because the thermistor wires have pulled free from the heater block, and the printer can't measure the heater block temperature. So it just keeps increasing it until eventually flames. But I do have a solution for that as well. Handy fire extinguisher. I pray I will never need that, especially not for this operation. So that's the plan at this point. I'm going to remove the printer filament, try to remove as many pieces from the extruder assembly as possible, try to remove the extruder assembly itself from the carriage so that I can then remove the carriage, because unfortunately there are screws down here that I have to be able to get to remove the entire carriage. But anyway, get the extruder assembly off, get the carriage off, put the extruder assembly back onto the carriage so that I have a good bit of material here to clamp into my bench vise, and then use a combination of my heat gun and my Dremel tool to remove this giant block of PLA without destroying anything. At least that's the plan. We'll see how it goes. So hopefully you guys will very quickly see me jumping to a time lapse of me actually getting this material removed. If not, you guys will instead see a short clip of me telling you guys how badly I screwed up. So here's hoping. So awesome sauce, guys. I actually managed to get my fan off and save my little blower duct here without having to scrap this whole thing. So I am super excited about that. I was really worried that I was going to have to cut it into pieces and pull it apart and probably have to replace the fan, but I don't have to do that, so that's awesome. I did try heating up to remove this. Unfortunately, it seems to be stuck. I'm not sure if it's stuck in the heating element or if it's just stuck in the gears. Either way, I'm going to pull this off and see what I'm dealing with in there. I had also had it advised to me to heat it up to ABS temperatures, which is 240 on the hot end. Unfortunately, by the time it got up to that temperature, I was kind of starting to get that cooked marshmallow smell, which made me a little nervous, so I went ahead and pulled the plug. So I'm not going to be able to use straight heat to try to get it off, but I'm letting it cool down now. The bed is still kind of warm from where it heated up. And then I'm going to pull this fan off, get in there, see what I'm dealing with this, and then go from there. So, again, very, very excited to have gotten that off without destroying it. That was awesome. So. Hey guys, it's been a few weeks. I've got the printer back up and running. Got everything sorted out. I have to admit I was very, very surprised that it only took the heat gun to get the job done. I fully expected the heat gun to be like the first step in the process, that I was going to have to take the thing apart, use the Dremel to like cut the plastic and get it off. But as you guys saw from the time lapse, the heat gun worked fantastically. You guys missed half of it because, again, I was just using the heat gun to try to get enough space to get in with a wrench to be able to remove the carriage, but instead it worked so well, I just kept doing it, and it worked great. You guys really didn't miss anything. After clearing the majority of the blob, I removed the throat tube, the heat block, and the hot end. I just removed the hot end from the heater block with a wrench, took all three pieces apart, held each piece with a pair of pliers, used the heat gun to heat it, and then just quickly wiped it clean with a paper towel rather than trying to scrape off all of the PLA. And that worked really, really well. Just you have to be really careful holding the little bitty pieces with pliers while heating them with a heat gun, because if you drop it, it burns. It burns a lot. So, you do have to be careful of that. When it came to the throat tube, I simply heated it up, holding it with the pliers, and then used, I believe it was a drill bit and a paper clip to just push the filament out and clean it a few times. And it's back up and running, and it works great. You guys saw in the time lapse that we printed a Pokemon Go. I believe this is a tree ornament, Christmas tree ornament. Not what we would use it for, but it printed really well. It did break coming off the bed, but that was completely my fault. As you guys may notice, I have a glass bed on the printer now. I got that custom cut at a local glass shop and used just purple glue stick now. I am a 100% convert of the glass and glue method. I will never go back to using painter's tape again. Since switching to this method, I have not had a single print come loose from the bed. I have not had curled edges on bigger pieces. It's been fantastic. I love it, and I will definitely continue to use it in the future. So, but yeah, other than that, it came out really well. So yeah, that is my experience clearing the blob of 3D printer failures. I've never seen this particular failure before. Like I said, I've seen the spaghetti monster stringy failures, but this was a new one on me. I wasn't entirely sure how to clear it and get it back up and running, but now it took me, I'm going to be honest, it took me a long time. It took me probably about a week to get it all completely cleared and cleaned off, because I took each individual step very slowly, very methodically, because I didn't want to risk damaging the printer or screwing something up and then having to order a part or something like that. But now that I've done it, I could probably clear this kind of jam in an afternoon, maybe an hour, maybe two, depending on how big the blob is, because it does take a lot of heat. So, but yeah, there you have it, guys. It's cleared. It's back up and running. I have it powered down now because I have intentions to use it in a minute, but I can show you guys. I will switch the power on. Light comes on, and as you guys can see, she boots up. She's ready to go. I'm really, really happy that this was actually as easy as it was to get done. I really thought it was going to be a lot more difficult. So, hopefully, you guys will be able to take this video. I'm still holding it up. Take this video and use it as an example of just how easy it is to clear this kind of jam and get your printer back up and running. Because, that's what they're for. I honestly don't think the printer likes being turned off. I think it likes to be doing its job. So the quicker we can get it fixed and get it back up and running, the happier we are and the happier the printer is. So anyway, guys, if you like this video, smack that like button. Leave us some comments down below. You guys have been leaving lots of comments on the channel recently, and it's really awesome. We love to respond to them. Check us out on social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. And yeah, that's it. So happy printing, guys, and we'll see y'all later.